Hello, everyone. Welcome to the My Smart Friends podcast. I'm your host, Betty Wang. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce to you our guest, Karen Maxwell, also known as Kmax. I'm such a huge fangirl that I wrote a blog post about her a few years ago. In today's episode, we'll be discussing Karen's journey into the fitness industry, her approach to maintaining a positive mindset, and her tips for women over 45 who are starting their fitness journey or looking to level up. We'll also dive into her personal life, including how she balances being a working mom and a fitness entrepreneur. Karen is a NASM certified personal trainer, the creator of Kinisi Performance, and a certified instructor in the Legree method and Versa climber. She's also an extraordinary, amazing cycling instructor who kicks my ass at least twice a week with great music and even better energy. On top of all that, she's a mom to one human, one dog, and a cat named Pickles. She's a true badass boss. So please welcome Karen Maxwell, also known as Kmax, to the show. Thank you, Kmax.
Hi, yes. Hi, Betty. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, I need to know when did Kmax start? Was this something that was when you were little and that's what you've been called forever? I can't call you Karen. Or was it something that was created when you started in the fitness industry?
It started early on, I think around sixth grade in sports, right? Everybody loves a good sports nickname, and I was playing a lot of softball, and my coach just immediately like started calling me K-Max, short for Karen Maxwell. So that stuck throughout sports, I would say, like pretty much through high school. And then college, I did not bring it with me. So anybody who went to college with me, first of all, I don't talk to those assholes anyways, but they wouldn't know me as that. And then after college, again, it didn't like there were a few people that would like pop in and call me that, but really it's came back again when I met my husband. And he didn't know about it, but he just immediately started calling me K-Max. And I was like, that's so funny because like I used to be called K-Max all through growing up. And he like brought it back to life, resurrected it, and it stuck for the last, I don't know, how long have I known him? 16 years or something. So yeah, we've been back as Kmax. And the funny thing is that every like a lot of people in LA know me as Kmax. And when I did start teaching in the fitness industry, that's how I was known. And then I went to another company and and I did their training. I was like, yeah, you can put me on the schedule as Kmax. And they're like, no, we don't do nicknames. And I was like,
Oh,
okay, well, I was like, but everybody knows me and like that's kind of my following. And I was like, I don't care either way, but like that's my nickname. So for like 2.5 years, this company like refused to like acknowledge, my identity, essentially.
terrible, terrible. Well, I wasn't sure if it was sort of like a Sasha Fierce Beyonce thing where this is like your alter ego that shows up
Yeah.
for classes.
No, I mean, how you see me in class is pretty much how I live my life.
What does your mom call you?
It's funny. She calls me Karen,
Okay.
but sometimes she will call me Kmax because everybody here calls me Kmax.
Yeah.
And so if I like don't answer her, sometimes she'll yell out Kmax. And I think we all laugh. It's really funny because it just doesn't sound natural coming from her, from the woman who
From your
birthed me
mom.
and named
Yeah.
me.
What sparked this interest in the fitness industry? How did you start? Because you do have a big
Um,
following.
Yeah, I've always loved fitness. Like being an athlete, I played sports even through college, and I think working out and just being active has always been a part of my life since very young. And group fitness was never really on my radar until like a friend took me to group fitness in LA. It was like, we were all gym rats, so we would just, do our own thing in the gym. And I started going to these spin classes. And I was like, God, this is really fun. Like, I love the music aspect. I love the energy. Like, the workout is really good. So I just started as a participant. And then, one thing leads to another. And somebody's like, oh, you should start teaching. And you're like, well, maybe. and then they're all of a sudden they're like, you should get a certification. You're like, oh, I'm getting a certified now. Oh, now I'm teaching. It was just like, one of those little side hustles. Living in LA, everybody has like, 10,000 side hustles. So it was one of those little things that started out as like, yeah, I teach like a couple classes a week in addition to doing all these other things. And then it just started like snowballing and catching on. And then I've just really enjoyed it. I was like, this is
Yeah.
fun. I get to interact with people. I get to help people on their fitness journey. I get to be a part of, making somebody feel better that day, even if that's the only part of their day that they feel good about themselves. And like, I get to be a part of that journey. So it just, it felt a lot better than being rejected from like every other audition that you go to in LA. And you're like, wow, I feel really shitty about myself. Maybe I can help other people.
Well, I mean, that is one of the things that I've gone to a lot of group fitness classes, and yours are definitely different, right? It's super positive, but I do feel like I get my ass kicked, but I always feel better when I leave. I don't know if you've always had that special mix of the emotional and the mental part of
Mhm.
wellness plus the physicality of it. Is that
Mhm.
something you've always thought about, or is that something that you've developed over time?
I think it definitely developed over time, but it's always kind of lived inside me, but it continues to evolve. I'm just so big on like the mind body connection. Our truly our body will do whatever our mind tells it to do. So if our head is in a negative space, then like our body is going to be in a negative space. It's as simple as if you say, "Ugh, I'm so tired today," rather than I can't wait to take a nap later, right? Which is like the difference
That's
of a
more me.
mindset.
Yes.
Yeah, right. But that's the difference of a mindset. Whereas, like, if you just say, I'm so tired right now, then all you're going to think about is being tired. But if you're like, I can't wait to take a nap later, then it's going to give you an event to look forward to. So I've always thought that that was interesting, just like perspective and words and like the way that our body reacts to words. I'm like, there's got to be a space where like all of this can come together. And I think that teaching alongside music, and that's why a lot of people, wear their headphones when they work out. They listen to music. If you listen to a podcast while you're working out, it's really not fun.
Yeah, it's different.
But
Yeah.
like, sure, go on a walk and listen to a podcast. But like, if you're really, getting your heart rate up, the music is going to tap into that like emotional side that also is going to help your brain say to your body like, this feels good, this is energizing, or this is nostalgic, or this is this is really intense, like whatever the feeling is. So that's why I've always been gravitating towards like cycling, which is musically driven, also teaching some other things. But yeah, I definitely think it's like evolved over time. But I'm just a firm believer that like if our mind is healthy, then like everything else is going to be okay too.
So you have these certifications. Do you also have a certification in coaching? Because it does seem like even when we're in our group classes that you are coaching us on how to be more mentally resilient, more open to new experiences, and self-compassionate, which
Mhm,
is, uh, I mean, I think lovely, and I need it, right? I need it,
mhm.
and I feel like I'm not the only person, but I'm curious from your perspective, how did you bring that all in? I mean, do you have a accreditation, or again, is that just something that was from your own personal journey that's kind of seeped into your classes?
Yeah, just being like sort of a, fucked up human really helps.
Yeah, lots
um,
to work through. Yes.
Lots to work through. We treat classes as our therapy session. I don't have any sort of like coaching certifications for that. However, it's on my list of things to do, along with some like, breath work coaching courses. I'm sort of in this phase right now, 45, and I'm like, quit my corporate job and I'm just focusing like on fitness. Yeah, it's the best feeling ever. And I just really want to learn all the things. So that's on my list. I think that the coaching kind of comes naturally to me. Um, but I would love to refine, I would love to hone in on it. But truly, like every class I teach, I think about like, what do I need to hear today as like a 45-year-old female who, you know, Some days I feel confident. Some days I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Some days I'm like, I'm going to kill my mom because she lives with me. And I'm like, I'm just going to like zero in on like something that like maybe like I'm feeling, and then I'm just going to throw it out there, and maybe somebody else will resonate with it. And maybe not, but I really try to approach my coaching sessions with group fitness from a very authentic place. And it's like, okay, what's happening in the world? What am I going through? Am I reading something? Am I seeing something? And some days it can be really light and fun. And some days it's a little bit more like, oh, I'm going to really empower myself today, or empower those in my class.
Well, that's really, it's interesting just because it's true. I feel like I've been going to your class pretty consistently over the last few years, and I don't feel like I've taken the same class twice. I feel like it is, you are authentic when you come into the room. And it did seem like you can't plan the what comes up from your mouth, which is a good thing, right? I think it's nice because you're real with us and it's not overly, I don't enjoy overly peppy, right?
Mhm.
Overly cheesy, overly like,
Yeah.
not that I don't feel good and empowered when I leave. It's just coming from a different, maybe more empowering place than
Hmm.
compliments that don't feel like maybe false. They may maybe feel a little false or something.
Yeah. And yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Anyway, so for those women who maybe had kids in their career and they took a break from working out, do you have advice for them to start back up?
Yeah, I think find a friend. That would be like, find a friend and like go to some sort of class together, like whatever it is. It could be anything from like water aerobics, like truly,
Yeah.
um, to a Pilates class, to cycling, like whatever it is, whatever sort of interests you. I would say like find a friend, because sometimes it is hard to just start something new alone, especially the older we get. We're like, you walk in, look, the older we get, we're so judgmental, right? We just judge everything. We just walk into a room, we're like, everyone in here is 25 and everyone has a perfect butt. Why am I in here? And if you have a friend with you, that will totally disarm that feeling of walking into a new space. So I'm a big fan of like, grab a friend. That way afterwards, you guys can like laugh about what you just did together, grab a coffee afterwards, and think about like how great you feel too. And then remind each other of like how good you felt after that workout, and maybe say like, okay, what are we doing next? Or is this something we want to join? Um, but I really believe that having somebody there for accountability is helpful. But also, if you're looking for like, if you have goals, if it's like, whether it's just a weight loss goal or build more muscle mass goal, like whatever it is, write down what you're looking for, and then if for yourself, and then you're going to have to find what's going to help you achieve that certain goal. Because if you're like, I just want to get I just want to feel more fit, then great. But that's just not specific enough, right? What does that mean to you? I think having specific goals, if you're like, I want to lose body fat, is a specific goal. Most people don't say, I want to lose muscle mass, right? Like most people, it's like, but
Yeah.
people will say, I want to lose weight. And you're like, that's actually not specific enough. Like losing weight means like your total body. We don't want to lose muscle mass. So you want to lose body fat, but you also want to maintain, possibly tone up lean muscle mass. So what should we do with like, what kind of workout does that look like? And of course, we have Google, we have all those things that you can just pop in, what you're looking for. I'm 45 years old. I want a workout that's going to help me lose weight and build muscle mass, and like Google it and see what comes up. Of course, I have like a million recommendations. The thing is that there's just not one, like, it's not a one stop thing, right? It's not
Yeah.
like I'm going to join this one place and it's going to like, actually, I mean, potentially like a gym or something. If their group fitness classes are amazing and you're also really great about, you know, working out on your own, and you know, get smoothies from there or whatever.
Yeah.
There could be a one stop shop, but really you're going to have to like piece together. So I think it's just being mindful about your goals, like being very specific, grabbing a friend, and also just knowing that everybody's a beginner at some time at anything, like walking into any class. And if that class doesn't make you feel like safe or confident, then it's not the right class for you. And shame on that instructor for doing that.
Yeah, no, I even though my first class with you, I felt like a spaz, and, and then, I felt like I was very happy to be in my corner spot. Actually, I found your class through Groupon. That's how I started. I was doing Groupons, and then I got hooked on
Amazing. I
you.
love it. I love
But
it.
what I know it's not one stop shop, but my friends and I, I'm approaching 50 and all we talk about is the hair loss, the weight gain. Our growing up, our moms did Jane Fonda, we did cardio, 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 and then some more cardio. And now everybody's saying now you have to do heavy weightlifting and walking. So, what have you seen? I mean, I know it doesn't work for everyone, but
Mhm.
I'm sure there's some general things that you could tell us or that could help us. I mean, yes, it'd be lovely to lose weight, but I think a lot of us are like, we just don't want to keep gaining weight.
Yeah, I 100%.
Yeah.
Um, yes, the older we get, our metabolism is slowing down, our bodies are going to change. The nice thing, one positive about getting older, and maybe it's the only one, is that
We're wiser,
our
right?
I know, wiser, is that our appetites do change. And so we actually don't like necessarily eat as much as we used to, which I find myself like, and I'm a eater. I love to eat food. And I find myself just not, I'm like, wow, I just don't eat as much as I used to. And because our appetite is like, it just slowly like goes, it just shrinks smaller and smaller. It doesn't mean we're not going to like starve ourselves, but it just means that like our ability to like constantly take in food and and that hunger all the time, it might it might be helpful.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that to happen to me.
Okay, maybe they'll happen.
Not
Maybe it
yet,
will.
not there yet, but hopefully that'll come soon.
Yeah. But my favorite, so cardio, yes, while we grew up in a generation of like do cardio every day and be
Yeah.
like skinny fat,
Yeah, only
basically what it was.
carbs, no
Yeah.
fat. Yeah.
Yeah. Those days are gone, but cardio is essential. I mean, it's obviously cardiovascular for your heart. It's so essential for fighting heart disease, which is, as we know, like the number one reason people die in the US is heart disease. So it's important for that. And it's also all these new studies are coming out about the cognitive function of what cardio does for your brain. So, look, I'm not a doctor, but like I think we can all tell that like after you do a really great cardio session, your brain feels clear, you feel energized, you feel it's almost like okay, I could sit down and I just have ideas coming, right? So that brain function I think is really important. However, we should not be doing cardio like 5, 6, 7 days a week because yes, our muscles will start to break down and we'll lose that. So I think for, 45 and older women, it's like pick 2, maybe 3 days that you want to do cardio. And then your other days, focus on some sort of strength training or muscular endurance building activity. So that can be, yes, it can be like a strength training class. It doesn't have to be heavy weights. Like you don't have to be lifting heavy weights. You can find Legree, which is like Pilates, like a elevated sort of Pilates is muscular endurance. You're going to like tone and build and strengthen. Pilates is great for that as well. Some Pilates is like classical Pilates, which isn't so much strength building, but if you find the ones that are, those are great. Even toning classes like bar classes that are kind of hit style, that incorporate weights. If you're walking, so a bunch of my friends started doing the rucking,
Yeah.
with the vest on.
Hmm.
Um,
I just bought
and
one.
yeah, on
I
your
don't know.
Amazon Prime deal, me
Yeah,
too.
yeah, the Prime sale. Yes.
I did too. I'm waiting for my vest to come. Um,
Well, yeah, I didn't know what size to get or like which weight to get, so I just did the 8 because I don't know.
you did, girl. I got the 30-pound one.
Oh, you're like hardcore rookie. Oh my god.
I got the 30.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll see how it goes. I figure I'd start small. Yeah.
Well, I think I can. It goes up to 30 pounds, so I don't have to always have 30
Oh,
pounds
see,
on
yeah,
it.
I don't know how it
So I
works. I
can
think
like
mine is
I can
just
change
yeah,
out. But
interesting.
I was like, yeah, I was like, let's do this. I have no idea what's going to happen. But I do love that. I think that walking with a weighted vest is wonderful for building strength. And it's also, low impact on your joints if you're walking. Um, Maybe we start in a cycling class with weighted vests on. What do we think?
I don't know. I mean, for a while you had the bala bands, and then
Yeah,
now we have the arm, which is great because
yeah,
otherwise I wouldn't do any arms.
yeah,
So I think that's been good. I'm up for just trying anything where I feel like I wouldn't hurt myself with that, and I'm
yeah.
pretty so I'm like that. I think that would be okay. Maybe not
Yeah,
a 30 pounder, but
maybe not a 30
yeah, not
pounder.
not the 30 pounder, but
Yeah.
yes.
And then I
It,
think that the other thing is like in addition to like movement, um, is any sort of relaxation, meditation, breath work that you can do. Um, is just really helpful. So whether it's like doing a meditation, your own meditation, or doing some sort of group meditation, a sound bath, like anything that just helps your mind sort of relax, I think is great for our, cognitive development the older we get too, because really, let's be honest, we got to hold on to our muscle mass and we got to hold on to our brain cells and memory as much as possible.
yeah, yeah, those are all. I don't remember things for sure as much as I used to.
I know.
I do
Mushrooms,
have
you got to take mushrooms, all sorts of
wait, is that
mushrooms.
supposed to help or not?
Yeah, a lot of
Interesting.
like like lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi. There's all these different mushrooms that really help with like, your memory, cognitive regeneration. So,
I thought you were talking about a different type of mushroom.
I mean, that's a different kind of therapy. It can be used
Yes,
for therapy, but I'm just talking about like regular,
I see. I see. So I have wondered this when we are doing hill climbs and we're doing, and you say it's strength training. Can that take the place of actual strength training? Could I consider that like strength training in a way, or is that still cardio, or it's a mix of both?
It's a little bit of a mix of both. I think that's by design why we have hills in class so that you can use that resistance and you can build muscles. But because we are cardiovascular, moving at the same time, it's not like pure strength training, if that makes sense. So while we are building our muscles, we're also simultaneously using them, like breaking them down for cardio, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a give and a take. Um, and that's when, like if you ever go to a class and there's like no hills in your class, you're going to be like, wow, I wasn't able to do any sort of muscular endurance or building through this cardio workout. So no, I'm sorry to tell you that's not your replacement
Okay.
for strength training. Sorry.
Just asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend. I know.
I did have a couple of questions that I was curious about too.
Yeah.
From a class perspective, how do you, because you have to stay on beat, you have to know what's going on, but sometimes there's somebody in the front row that's very off, and me in the back, I get thrown off. But I think about the instructors watching this person right in front of you. Um, how do you go through that? Or, I mean, how do you stay on beat? Because I
Sometimes
never
I just
see you
have,
really whack way off, but then if I start watching this person, then I start getting way off, and that's not good.
yeah. I sometimes I just have to close my eyes and not even look at them. I'm like, because it's like you're so aware of it, but you're like, I cannot focus on that.
Yeah.
And as long as the music is there and I know that I can listen to the music, I can get right in it and just like not be distracted. It probably comes from like my training as an actor for so many years. Like, I'll never forget like doing theater in these like little black box theaters in college and in LA. And that we were in this tiny little theater, and in the front row, there was like a mom there with her kid, and the kid just walks over and like lifts up mom's shirt and like starts like breastfeeding, like, and we're like in our show, and I was on stage, and I just remember going, and mind you, I was like in my 20s, so like I was also like, why is this like 8-year-old kid doing this? It turns out he was like 3, but in my mind
Yeah.
he was 8.
Yeah. He looked real old. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a
And
beard.
yeah. And like she was just like, great. And like front row, I'm like, great, the show must go on. We cannot be distracted by the things that other people are doing, and the show must go on. It's always my philosophy.
Well, I think you can tell, right? Nothing
Yeah,
really throws you in class, and you
yeah,
have a good command of the room, if that
yeah.
makes sense. Like people, I mean, you are front and center, but like you're a good leader that way.
Thank you. Many years of practice.
Yeah. What are your pet peeves that people do when they come to your class? I know that I roll in late and I know that I leave early, so that's got to be annoying. So I'll call myself out on that. But are there other
Yeah.
things that are just bothersome or funny?
I think that my biggest pet peeve is when people come to a group fitness class and then don't listen to the instructor and do their own thing. Like that is, first of all, it's just like it's disrespectful to the instructor, but it's also very distracting to the entire class. But I also don't understand that mentality, because I'm like, if you wanted to do your own workout, then just go do your own workout. Like, don't come to a group fitness class where the fitness instructor is trained in this modality. They've spent probably a lot of time putting together their music and their programming, and it's probably designed that way for a reason. So when somebody comes in and they just blatantly do their own thing, that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves. The other thing is like using like your phone during class. Like, people will just straight up stop what they're doing and like text or whatever. I'm like, you literally, it's 45 minutes of your life. You can't like step away from your phone for 45 minutes or whatever. And Apple Watches, when people are getting their texts on their Apple Watches and they're kind of like this, of course, there are exceptions to like everything. Like, so, yes, I know we're all dealing with a lot outside. Like, maybe you have a sick child and like they went to school that morning. You're not sure if the school is going to call you and you need to leave in the middle of class to go get them. Like, but in those cases, I just really advise that you tell the instructor ahead of time what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I may have to leave early. This is like what's happening. And the instructor then knows, like, thank God. Because when somebody walks out of your class and you don't know why, you think that number one, that they're hurt, they're not feeling well, you've offended them, they hate your workout, like all the things go through your head.
The spinning. Interesting.
Yeah. And you're actually genuinely concerned for that person. So when we know ahead of time, it's really helpful. And then as far as like doing your own thing in class, if you do need to make modifications because you have an injury, that's another thing that you should tell the instructor before a class, is be like, I am dealing with a knee thing. So if I don't do some of this, this is why. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for telling me.
Oh,
Now I
that's
don't have to like
nice.
worry about, anything. So all of that information is really helpful. So, yeah,
Well, that's
don't
good to
do your
know.
own thing and don't be on your phone during class.
Well, I would never think to tell somebody just because I would feel like, well, why would the instructor care? They're going to do what they're going to do. But it's
Mhm.
good to know that that's something that you would notice and worry about.
Yeah. I look at everybody and I look at everybody's form, and I worry. I do
That's why I
worry about
hide behind
everybody.
people. Yeah.
You're fine.
Well, yeah, after 3 years, I think I've got some of it now, but
Yeah.
I've moved up to row three now rather than, the far back.
We're very proud of you.
Yes, thank you. Backseat Betty is no longer. Now I'm third row. Hmm.
Middle row.
Middle row. What do you do for your own personal fitness? Do you still enjoy working out for yourself, or now that it's part of your job, are you like, I just want to sit on the couch?
It ebbs and flows for sure. I love I'm really obsessed with climbing right now, the Versa climbing classes. So I really enjoy those. And I'm 100% obsessed with Legree at this point in my life. So that's kind of taking over. Cycling, I've just been doing it for so long. So I feel like at this point in the game, I still really love it. I enjoy it, but it's good for my cardio, but that's pretty much like all we're doing it for. Whereas, like Legree is just challenging my body in ways and that I was like, there's no way I can even hold this move any longer. And then your whole body is like shaking and you're like questioning your entire existence for like literally 15 seconds. And then you're like, wow, I did it. So there's a real mental aspect to that as well as like building. So I love going to group fitness classes. I don't like working out by myself. I get distracted. I want an instructor. I want the energy of people. And that's another thing. If you are just like getting back into fitness after being gone a while, group fitness settings are just so wonderful because everybody's there for a reason. It's community, it's to work out together. You're going to feed off of everybody. And I'm a big fan of that. And I also love having an instructor like yell at me,
Yeah,
yell at
I
me.
like having someone tell me, make the decisions of what I'm supposed to do when I'm
Yeah.
supposed to do it. Because, as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as a wife, as, a human, we're making so many decisions. I just want someone to tell me what to do, how to do
Yeah.
it, how long to do it, and be done with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Exactly.
Tell me about Kinesi. Why did you start that? What exactly? I know it's supplements, it's CBD based, but what what was the impetus to starting that?
Yeah, so I started Kinesi right after Kitty was born, um, because I wanted something like good, like for my body and I needed something for energy, for focus, to just like be able to do all the things. But I didn't want to be like pounding caffeine all day. I don't drink energy drinks. This stuff is like horrible for you. And so I was kind of like playing with different all natural supplements and seeing like, okay, what's out there that like works. And we came across like CBD and CBG, hemp based products that don't get you high. Um, and what can those do for your body? And I started taking them and I immediately felt a difference like in my brain, in focus and clarity, but also in my energy and not sort of that like crashing feeling. So it really came from a place of wanting to put like all natural, really good things into my body so that I could keep going. And that's where it all started. And then we continue to like add and sort of evolve our products. But um, it's really about, we have like a couple different things, but it's really about energy for like during the day and then sleep products for night. And none of it is like doesn't have THC in it. It doesn't have, you know, like psilocybins, like hallucinogenics, because we do have hemp-based products, and now we also have mushroom-based products. So nothing's gonna like, get you high, unfortunately. Not yet, anyways.
So when do you take what? Or do you take something every time you
Hmm.
exercise, or would you recommend that for somebody? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
I take so we have two different energy gummies. We have the hemp-based one, grind, and then we have move, which is our mushroom base. I will take, if I'm like working out pretty hardcore, I'll take two grinds. Like some people are like, oh no, most people start out with just one, but I've been doing it for so long. I'll take two grinds in the morning, and then I'll be ready to work out and I feel great all day. If I have like kind of more of a lighter workout day, um, and I just have to get a lot of work done, maybe on my computer or just like do a bunch of mom stuff, I'll take a move and I just feel like my energy is just like at a steady high level and I'm like really focused. I'm like, okay, got to do this. I got to execute. It just really helps me execute. And then at night, I'll take my dream gummy. So just to help sleep.
Is it kind of like a cup of coffee for you? Like, I'm just curious.
I guess it would be kind of
Or do
like a
you
cup
do
of
coffee
coffee.
too, or not really?
I don't drink coffee. I drink tea, like I'll drink matcha
Yeah.
or I drink mud water, which is also like a mushroom based or chai tea based drink. So I just avoid coffee. It's, some people it's totally fine for. It's just pretty acidic. And my body just wasn't reacting that well to it. So I ditched it years ago. And yeah, so this is a coffee replacement. However, I'll still wake up in the morning, make a matcha, and then I'll grab either a move or grind gummy, sometimes two, just depending, and then I'll go about my day. And it usually, and the nice thing is that like there's no crash because there's no
Yeah.
caffeine in it,
Yeah.
and caffeine will just give you that crash. So this is like really steady and also like really good for you. So put good stuff in your body, people.
Yeah. Do you stay away from sugar too, or is it mostly just caffeine that you find doesn't make you feel great?
And sugar, yeah, the sugar and caffeine together, terrible. I try to stay away from sugar. I'm not a big
Yeah.
sugar fan. I would say the only time I never eat dessert or anything unless, I don't know, it's a special occasion or something. I will. It's not like I'm like no, but typically it's not something I have. But the only time I'll really have like anything like sugary is if I have like an alcoholic beverage or something, and like wine or whatever it is, which is just sugar. I'll be like, okay, that's fine,
Yeah.
but I try not to um, indulge in it too much.
And as a working mom and entrepreneur, like how do you keep yourself centered and sane? I mean, we always put our kids first, then our jobs, and you also now have your mom and your family all around. Um, what do you do that's just for you? I mean, I know you work out, but that's also twofold too. It's your job,
Yeah.
and do you have something that you do that keeps you centered?
Yeah, I do think working out is a huge part of it. I really love to, this is so silly. I love to meal prep. Like
Interesting.
I'll take like hours on a Sunday or a Monday, and I will just like get all the food and I will make like all the healthy things and cut all the vegetables, and I'll even listen to a podcast when I'm doing it or something, and I'll take hours and I'll just put everything together, and then that's like my food for the next like 3 or 4 or 5 days for me, my family, for Kitty, for anybody that wants snacks. Like I know that like they can go in and grab a tub of already cut cucumbers or radishes or whatever, and there's like, this is there. And then we could easily put together a salad in 2 seconds because everything's already prepped. So I absolutely love meal prepping. I know it's so weird. Do you like to meal prep?
I don't know if I like it. I don't like to cook. So I do it on Sundays so that I don't, otherwise I would eat from cans.
Yeah.
I'm so lazy.
Yeah.
And my son has allergies, so I cook a lot for him. But when it comes to what I eat, like I just don't want to cook. So I do what you do and I cut everything on the weekends just because I don't want to have to think about it. But I
Yeah.
am always curious what other people do for meal prep because I'm
Yeah.
always looking for ideas. Again, like it's this grown
Okay.
up
Do you want,
thing where
I'll,
I'm like we have to plan what everyone eats all the
I know it's so
time.
annoying. So I'll tell you what I do because we don't eat a ton of meat here. I don't eat a lot of meat. I started introducing meat back into my diet in the last like year or so because again, our bodies change. We need to adapt. We need to like, figure I needed more protein. So I started introducing like small amounts of red meat. That's the
How did
only
you
meat.
figure that out? I mean, I guess you're probably much more in tune with your body than the rest of us, but how did you know that you're like, oh, you were tired and so it must be
Yeah.
meat?
Well,
Really?
tired, yeah, tired, and then blood work will tell you also if get your panels done. That will kind of help you figure out like what you need more of. So I definitely recommend that everybody do that every year because it's going to change like every year, and you're going to see, certain things ebb and flow in your body, and you're like, okay, I need more of this. And I just noticed a big deficit since I was pretty much just eating. vegetables, tofu, and fish. And I was like, oh, I definitely need like a lot more protein. I feel it in my body. Um, so I started introducing like some red meat, like all natural grass fed red meat to try to avoid antibiotics, in that. And so my meal prepping, what I typically like to do is I like to take all the vegetables, wash, cut, like that's one thing, and then I'll take what's my like grain or starch going to be. Usually it's just a big thing of quinoa, and I'll make a big pot of quinoa. It can stay in the fridge all week, and then I'll just add because quinoa is really high in protein, which is great. And it's actually a seed, so it's gluten free. It's like, that can be my like quote unquote starch. And I can add it to a salad. I can just eat it plain. I can do whatever I want to it. And then I'll take whatever I want from a can and I'll rinse that and then put it in jars. So beans, sometimes lentils, but my lentils don't come from a can. Uh, and then I will always cut up tofu, have tofu like ready to go, cut up. Um, and what else do we do? Yeah, and that's pretty much. I'll make like a big thing of tuna fish, like from the canned tuna, and I just make it with like lemon, olive oil, um, some capers, and I don't know, whatever else, mustard, something like really easy. And I'll make a big thing of that, and like that's an easy, fun snack too.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
I mean, I always think about that, but I always feel like you need to add the mayo, and I can't do mayo anymore.
yeah.
Um, I'm gonna do that for sure.
But it's
What do
super
you,
lame that like I enjoy doing that, but I really do
well, I think
enjoy doing that.
it feels like that you are or you're prepared for the week. I feel like I'm going into my week with armor, right? Like I'm not gonna be because that's when I'm hungry, I'll eat, my kids' snacks, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 Oh, that's a good idea.
But that's not the only thing I enjoy.
I know. What tell me what you do with your tofu. Sorry,
Yeah.
I mean I just cut it up in chunks and put it in my salad, but I've never really
Yeah.
done much else with it.
I I do that all the time. Sometimes I'll like marinate it and then stick it in the air fryer and it's like crispy tofu, which is great. That's it, a little bit more prep, but yeah, for the most part, or maybe I'll make like a stir fry and saute it or something, or bake it in the oven. But for the most part, it's just cut up and thrown in my salad as is, and you know, boring. But my whole family will eat tofu, so it's fine with me.
Wow.
I
That's
know.
nice.
Yeah, Kitty loves it.
Oh, that's really nice. Yeah, so I digressed. I know I would, but is there anything else that you want people to know that, like, I guess this is mostly for women like us. I mean, more so for those of us closer to 50 and plus, but is there anything else that you think we should be thinking about or knowing about with our health or fitness or supplements?
Yeah, I think that you should really like take a look at what you're putting in your body. We only have like one body. So if you're like, oh, I always take this vitamin, like look at that vitamin, look at what's in it, or I always do this one thing every day. And if it's great and if it works, then good. But like there's so many amazing products out there that come from like the earth. And check in on yourself. Like, am I getting enough greens? Oh, I'm not getting enough greens. So like I'm going to grab like some sort of green supplement and make sure I drink that every day. I think that we can get really busy, and like to your point, is that you cook for your son, and you spend all of your time and energy taking care of the other people in your life that sometimes we forget about ourselves. Um, and if you are feeling tired or dehydrated and all those things, it's like you really do have to take care of yourself as well as the other people. And that's what's always so hard about being, I feel like, a mom, is that your primary focus is always your family and then you become secondary. But if we put ourselves first, then the time and energy we put into our family is going to be even better. Even if we're quote unquote putting them second, it's going to be better than it was before, because mentally you are feeling great about yourself so you can take care of other people. So
Yes, that's so true. I feel like that's echoed by so many women.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
well, that no, I think that's all super helpful information. And I ask this of other podcast guests, but I work a lot with women who are going into retirement
Mm,
or planning to go into retirement, and some of them are leaving big careers or moving on to something new. But it's studies show that in retirement, having a passion, having hobbies really helps with your overall contentment in retirement. And
mm,
I mean, I work out, but I'm in the market to learn about more hobbies from other people and see what other people are interested in, so that maybe some of these women can look at that and say, oh, maybe that sounds fun. I'll try that.
mm,
Um,
yeah. So
what do
one of
you
my
do?
hobbies
Yeah.
is I really love to write.
Oh,
So yeah, so writing is, and it ebbs and flows, and sometimes it's like I'm in it, and then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I've gotten away from my writing. And sometimes it's like journaling, like for my own personal, but I come from a world of wanting to write stories and create stories and characters. And so I will always have like in my phone like tons of different like characters and like worlds and things like that. So really using my sort of imagination. I'm also a big reader, so I like to read a lot of books and then also create worlds. So it also keeps your brain fresh too. So that's kind of something I like to do on the side.
I love that. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I know.
And I like. I think it'd
Excited.
be weird to see your phone and have all these different characters.
I know.
I'd be like, oh, where is she going? Do you think you might write a book someday, or is it just right now? It's just for fun, or is there something like maybe someday when you you have more time, or you feel the need or you want to write like a full-blown story or book? Is that
Yeah.
something in your mind, or is it mostly you're fine with what you're doing right now and you like that?
No, I mean I'm definitely working on a book right now, so I'm yeah, we're writing that. But I've written, so when I was in LA, we wrote screenplays. I wrote a ton of screenplays in LA, and I wrote a few plays and performed them live in front of several audiences. So writing for me is a really nice creative outlet, and just the art of like creating. I always want to create, I always want to play. And so since I don't have like I don't have like an acting class that I could pop into here in Denver, but writing is a source of creating characters and creating worlds. Um, and that's really fun. So
I
writing.
can't wait to read that. I'm a huge reader.
Okay,
I'm
good.
really excited. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Well, where can people find you in the real world? LinkedIn? Do you do LinkedIn? Nah, yeah.
Yes.
Instagram? You
Ish.
do? Yeah.
I mean, I have a profile. It's updated, which is
Oh,
amazing. I don't really like LinkedIn, to be honest.
yeah. It's not my favorite. I mean, I'm not great at any social media. But so if people wanted to find you, they should go to Instagram
Yeah.
or
Instagram's my favorite.
okay.
I have Facebook. My Facebook and Instagram are connected, but I'm on Instagram most often, and that's where kind of my audience is. So Instagram, Facebook is there. I don't usually get into Facebook Messenger too much. I LinkedIn, I feel like anxiety to check it. So like if somebody messages me on LinkedIn, I have like this like anxiety that like I better reply to this or they're gonna think I'm not a professional human.
Yeah, it does seem like the adult version of social media. It's not so much
Yeah.
play. It's not play.
Yeah, so that's just peer pressure with LinkedIn. But I love Instagram because I like the visual. I like seeing videos, images, funny things. I like to check in on the people that I know and see like where their journeys are. So you can definitely find me on Instagram.
Okay. And then for classes, we can find you at Cycle Bar and Legree Method.
Twist, yeah.
Twist.
It's called Twist, and right now we're over by Stanley Marketplace, but the second location is opening on University probably by DU, probably like January. So
Oh, great.
hopefully I'll be there. Yeah, I know.
Great. Well,
I'm
that's
excited.
that's when or I'm hoping to start putting episodes out. So maybe
Well,
we can,
perfect.
yeah. Marketing's not my thing, but I don't know. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This was really fun for me. So
Nice.
thank you. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
of course. Well, thank you for having me, and I look forward to seeing, all of these podcasts and learning from these other amazing women about all the things we need as we get older.
I know. The adulting.
The
Well,
adulting.
the adulting. All right. Till next time.
Okay. Thanks, Betty.